Hey guys, it's Will with Hong Kong Cinema Appreciation Society, back again with another Coronavirus at Home episode and another Putting on My Screenwriter Hat episode. So I've said this a million times before, but I feel like I have to preface this in every video just in case you're new to the channel. If you are, thank you. Thank you for finding us. I hope you're doing well. Please subscribe. That's a huge help to us. Yay! Hit that red button on YouTube. If you're on IGTV, Instagram, then you can follow us. That would be a huge help as well. Thank you so much. However you found this video, thank you for finding it. Thank you for watching it. So I'm going to be talking about Heart of Dragon today. It's a Jackie-Chan movie, and I should say it's more of a Sammo Hung movie, right? Directed by Sammo Hung, and the two of them are together. And then we have, just in case you like physical media, this is like an old Hong Kong DVD of this movie. And then this is the brand spanking new, totally awesome 88 films Blu-ray release. This is out of the UK, I should also say. So it's a Region B release. You can see this is like the UK rating system 18 right here. So basically what that means is if you are in Europe and you have a standard commercial Blu-ray player, it'll play just fine. Over the United States, then you need to have a multi-region or a region-free Blu-ray player, which is how I do it. But definitely worth investing in because there's so much awesome stuff coming out of I think the UK especially right now for like classic Hong Kong movies, Eureka and 88 films especially. So I was going to preface this by telling you my credentials so I don't just sound like some whack job talking about screenwriting, right? So I have an MFA, which is Master of Fine Arts in Screenwriting. It's a graduate degree. And then I have interned and then also worked paid reading scripts for studios, for production companies. I work with screenwriters to help them finish their scripts and kind of realize their vision. So I'm a freelance reader, I guess is basically what you'd call it. People send me scripts and I read them and I give them my 2 cents on them, tell them whether or not I think they should make them, what can be improved, what works, what doesn't, etc., etc. And I've been doing that for like 6 years at this point, paid. And then I did that for like 3 years before that as an intern. So I'm doing it for a while. And so I also have to say, so I did a video like this on Election, the Johnny Toe film, and I put it on Instagram, and someone said, what can you know about the script if you don't speak or read Cantonese, right? Which is true. I don't speak or read Cantonese. So when I say script, I don't really mean the written document. I kind of do. So I'm going to get into the weeds a little bit here, and I apologize for that. What I'm basically talking about is the arrangement of the information in the film. And what do I mean by that? I mean the characters, the way they're developed, the way that they interact with the world, the way that the story and the plot are developed, the way that those interact with the characters, and the way in which all of the necessary information is relayed to the audience through action and through character and through dialogue, right? So if you have subtitles, you don't really need to be able to read the script to know whether or not it's good. Now, there are some caveats here. One, a lot of things change, right, during production. So it's possible that, like when I talk about and post-production, I should say, with Election, when I say Election has a great script, I don't necessarily mean the written document that was made before the film that people read and then went and made the film from, right? What I mean is if you were to create a script that is a transcription of the movie as it exists, that written document would be incredible, right? And I don't know how much of a movie like Election, you really have to find the original script and then watch the final movie to know what is in the original script and what was made up on the set or what was rearranged in editing and stuff to make the movie the way it is, right? But really what I mean when I say the script is the arrangement of all of those things in the finished picture. I will also say that with regards to dialogue, I think that dialogue is by and large not particularly relevant to whether or not a script is good. And I know that that is probably heresy to some people, but I think you have very, very few incredible writers of dialogue, right? If you're thinking in the English language, and let's just talk about American cinema, Aaron Sorkin, Tarantino, the Coen brothers, honestly, that's off the top of my head, Wes Anderson, maybe. The only ones I can think of where when you hear the dialogue, you know who wrote it, right? Whereas I think there are far more screenwriters where once you get a feel for their style of putting stuff together, you can kind of recognize a work as theirs. Like, for instance, Paul Thomas Anderson writes his own scripts, right? I don't think his dialogue is particularly memorable, and I would imagine a fair amount of the dialogue in a movie like Boogie Nights is probably improvised, right? Which is another thing where, like, you don't really need to be able to read the dialogue to know whether the movie is good because the actor's making the dialogue up. That's not really relevant to the script in terms of the arrangement of the information. I'm getting way off course here. Heart of Dragon. So my first impressions when I first saw this movie maybe like 15 years ago. I was only 2 in 1985, so I didn't see it when it first came out. And I didn't see it when I first got into Jackie Chan in the 90s because it just wasn't a movie that I was able to find at the video store or anything like that, right? So I lived in a pretty remote place when I was in high school in Vermont. So it was pretty hard for me to find, like, I wasn't in, like, New York City going to, like, these cool video stores and stuff like that. When I first saw this movie, my kind of impression of it was the action scenes were really cool. The performances from Jackie Chan and Sammo Hung were really strong, but there were tonally, it was a little bit weird because you had this really violent action and then you had this kind of sentimental story, right? When I revisited the movie this year, I came to appreciate it a lot more, and I think there are things about it that are really genius, honestly, and that work really well. There's only really one thing about it, if I'm thinking about it objectively with my writer hat on, that I think doesn't quite work or isn't hammered home or ironed out enough. So the structure of this movie is really smart because you had like you had that opening action scene, right? Which is obviously these movies always open with an action scene, but it's very smart because it allows you to draw the audience in with action, and then mostly you have nothing but drama for like over an hour. There are actually 2 fight scenes in the Japanese cut that take place in this section of drama that were removed from the Hong Kong cut because Sammo Hung didn't feel they added anything to the movie, and dramatically they don't add anything at all. They're really fun fight scenes and they work well in the Japanese edit of the film, but if you're talking about the dramatic flow of the film, they don't add anything at all. So what's so smart about this is that you have this very sentimental, dramatic section of the film that's about these 2 brothers, their relationship with one another, the fact that Jackie Chan's character is very frustrated. If you don't know the plot of the film, Sammo Hung plays like a mentally challenged guy. And Jackie Chan is his brother, and Jackie Chan has to take care of him. But he gets a job, or he gets offered a job, or he accepts a job like on a ship as like a merchant marine or something like that. And so he leaves Hong Kong very briefly. I think he goes out like very briefly once, or maybe he doesn't. And the finer points of the plot are becoming very murky to me right now. I think he does go out once because he leaves Sammo with his neighbor, or at least he's preparing to go out, and Sammo gets left alone. And he might not actually leave, but like he and Sammo have a bit of a rift, and Jackie goes and gets ready to leave Hong Kong, and it's kind of like he's preparing himself to leave his brother. I feel like an idiot because I watched this movie like last week, and I'm having trouble putting all these pieces together. But the point that I'm making is that you have this big section of the film that it's nothing but drama, right? So you have fight scene, lots of drama, or if you're watching the Japanese cut, you have the action scenes thrown in, which are really good action scenes, but they don't affect the plot, right? Then you have an event happen that basically there's like they're these jewelry thieves, and they think that Sammo is running around the streets with his friends holding like a toy gun, and the jewelry thief panics and thinks Sammo is a cop and it's a real gun, so he tosses the jewels, and Sammo and his friends get them. And so these criminals come after them, basically, right? And then it becomes this very serious, violent action movie. But the fact that you've put a clear marker in the film of here's the action section, which does not involve a lot of the sentiment and does not involve a lot of like the brothers being together and their relationship, right? There's also Jackie's like engaged to this woman, or he's proposing to her, and so there's a romance in the beginning of the film too. And because the woman is not involved with because Jackie's character is like he starts the film as a SWAT officer, then he becomes CID, which is like a detective basically, I think. Because she's not a cop, she's not involved in like the action plot because Jackie and his cop friends go off and do that, right? So you have the romance and the dramatic plot with the brother, and then you have this line in the sand, and then you have all the action. Jackie is physically separated from Sammo during all the action stuff. And so you don't have that drama. You have a physical goal of going somewhere to get something and whooping all the ass you need to whoop along the way, right? So that's like a very classic action movie setup. I need to go and get this thing. All these people are in my way. I have to go through all these obstacles, right? Whereas in the beginning, there is no I need to go and get this or do this thing right now. It's an emergency situation or X, Y, and Z will happen, and here are all my obstacles. It's more of a drama of like their relationship, Jackie and Sammo, and then him trying to propose to his girlfriend and stuff like that. So that's very, very smart. I think that's very well done, and I think the performances are so strong in this movie that, and people who are not fans of Hong Kong cinema, people who are like, film critics who are like overly critical of everything because they feel as though they have to be. People like that, I think, would find fault with certain aspects of this film, but I completely disagree, and I think that it's really well done, and the strength of the performances and the genuine emotion and sentiment that went into making the film really shine through, and then the action is awesome because it's Jackie and Sammo, and Yuen Biao is one of the action directors, and like, why wouldn't it be awesome, right? Okay, so the one thing in this film that I think doesn't quite work, that really needs to be ironed out, or obviously doesn't need to be because the movie's already made and you can't go back and remake it, but it could have been ironed out. And so the story is that when they went to shoot this film, it was a completely different script. They shot one day and Sammo was like, this is not going to work. This is not the movie we need to make right now. This is not the script we need to be shooting. Let's do something else. And so in about a month, he came up with an idea, worked with the writer, wrote a script that was Heart of Dragon, and they went and made that instead of the other movie. And so I understand why not every single piece of the puzzle is perfectly in place, right? But you have this plot of Jackie wanting to go and be whatever, like a sailor, a merchant marine, work on a ship, whatever it is, right? And like ostensibly, okay, whatever. Like he's saying it's his lifelong dream, right? And you have the tension of he's taking care of his brother. He doesn't want to take care of his brother. He wants to go live his own life. He has his own goals. He has his own dreams, right? All of these things. It makes sense, and I get it. And I get that dramatically you need to drive a rift between them in order to have character growth and drama that needs to be resolved in order to make the film a film. Otherwise, it's just this kind of open-ended thing of them just having these little scenes together. There's no thrust of a plot or like a film story, if you want to call it that, like a cinematic story that needs some kind of conflict in order to be resolved, right? So you do have to find something that drives them apart, and the thing that drives them apart is Sammo feeling he's being abandoned by Jackie to go and do this sailor thing, and Jackie feeling like, screw you, I want to live my life. Why are you this albatross around my neck, right? Jackie's character starts the movie as a SWAT cop, and then he becomes CID, which is like a really good job, I would imagine, right? And to become SWAT requires so much training, I would think, and so much dedication that it's like, if you wanted to be a sailor or like a merchant marine or something like that, like, why did you become this totally other thing, right? That's a good job that you've been doing for a while, that you're very, very good at. And he probably makes an okay amount of money, and he could probably take vacations because he wants to see the world. He wants to get out and be free, right? And I get it, like he needs to take care of his brother. There's no one else to take care of his brother, but like, he really can't find like a friend and be like, hey, because like the other cops actually look after Sammo for Jackie. So he couldn't have been like, dude, can you take my brother for like a week? I'm going to go to Thailand or like Japan or whatever. And like, it just doesn't, it doesn't sell it to me. And it's this totally left field thing where you're like, this makes no sense. Why would this guy want to do this? And why is this the thing that drives the rift between these brothers? And to me, like, that's the kind of plot element where I feel like if they had really ironed that out, this would be a significantly, maybe not a better film, but I think it would be appreciated by a wider audience. I think it would be more well regarded with people who like really love Police Story or Project A or whatever, but don't dive too deep into all the Jackie-Sammo films. And I think this is like a tier below those top tier like Dragons Forever type movies. And I think that ironing out that kink, because it's the kind of thing where like you could be like, well, that one detail is not going to make a lot of difference in terms of people's appreciation of the film. But the thing is, I think that a lot of people don't have the ability to articulate what bothers them about a film. They just know that it's not landing the way it should be. And that kind of thing where you're like, there's not a real organic character motivation here that relates to anything that makes sense in this film. It could get in your head subconsciously and kind of drive you to be like, yeah, it doesn't quite work for me. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. I don't, who knows? It is what it is. And it's just what kind of occurred to me watching this film a couple times this year to do my Blu-ray review. Again, 88 Films Blu-ray, totally fantastic. Go pick it up. I'll include links in the description. If you're on YouTube or if you're on Instagram TV, IGTV, I'll tag 88 Films, so you can just go check out their profile. My name is Will. You've been watching Hong Kong Cinema Appreciation Society. Thank you so much, and we will see you next time.